Good afternoon. This is Simon Stain at the International Labour Conference, Senior Advisor for Fundamental Principles and Rights at Work at the International Labour Organisation, and you're joining us here at the 107th International Labour Conference for a Facebook Live session to mark World Day Against Child Labour and, most important, to mark the 20th anniversary of the Global March Against Child Labour. And with me are three friends, two very old friends and a new friend, Nobel Peace Laureate Kailash Satyarthi, who was the founder of the Global March and still a global leader in the movement against child labour. Basu Rai, who was at the age of 9 the youngest of the children in the Global March that came to Geneva in 1998. This is about the voice of children. And we've got two young people here with us, veterans, though they're very young.
True.
Veterans of child labour and veterans of the struggle against child labour. So let me turn to Basu first, if I may, Saloma, because Basu, you were here in 1998. You were 9 years old. You were the youngest of the children chosen to take part in the long physical march across the world. What was your most vivid memory of the march and of arriving here at the ILO in Geneva to make that demand? We want our childhood back. We need a new convention that will protect us against the worst forms of child labour, and we need more protection against all forms of child labour. What's your most vivid memory? And then I want to ask you actually to tell us something about your own memories of child labour and how you got out of child labour. But what about the march itself?
When I was very small, when I rescued from the street of Kathmandu, I didn't know about anything about the rights. There is something about rights of the children exists there. So once I rescued, I was very lucky that I could have a mentor like Mr. Kailash Satyarthi, and I got very good friends across. And then they taught me they told me that you have your rights. You were not meant to do this, all the things. So then I realized, oh, we do have rights. Okay, so I came to know Mr. Kailash Satyarthi ji was organizing this worldwide march, and I didn't know him that time, and I came to know that I was getting selected to become the part of that global march, and then I said okay. But why I wanted to become into the march desperately is I came to understanding that that I have to tell the people who are responsible. So and that global march was giving this thing, and Mr. Kailash ji was giving this platform to us. And then I got selected, and then I met lots of maybe around 16 presidents across the world. I met with Pope John Paul II, and I was demanding the same thing that, see, when I was 4.5, I ended up in the street of Kathmandu, become the part of the gang. Mm-hmm. And then I worked in I begged, I did the bakery, I became the domestic servant, I became the meat delivery boy. Lots of things happened, and I had seen that children were having fights, and they were stabbing each other, they were oozing blood out. So then that I wanted to say to the world that please, if you can stop this, return those children if you can. Make them alive. Please return those childhood which was snatched away. We need one quality education that we were talking. If you want them to get out of from the work, we need quality education. Quality education means not you have a different kind of school and you are giving the different kind of education. We have in the world, the country I come from and the countries I know, there are lots of school, international school, private school, small school, big school, government school, and nobody wants to go to the government school most of the time. The reason is there is no quality education. The thing is today, if you are going to the school, so after you graduate, you don't get the job. So of course, so you need a quality education. You cannot teach the children typewriter in this, this technological computer world.
Look, this is key, and we've all agreed on this for a long while, that quality education as a public service is a right for every child, is essential. Private education depends on people's ability to pay, so it's not really it's not the accessible route for people who are so poor their children are in child labour instead of school. We have 152 million children still in child labour, half of them not able to go to school, and who are really having difficulties in breaking through this cycle that goes from generation to generation. Now, you succeeded, you managed to get out of it, you worked incredibly hard, you were clearly very driven. Basu, you talked about effectively almost being rescued from the streets of Kathmandu. What in the case, what happened in your case? Was there just a direct intervention and somebody found you? And
No, I was like, I could rescued. I mean, like somehow somebody picked me from the street of Kathmandu because that time I was unconscious. I had the fever, and then like somehow like I went unconscious, and then later on I didn't know what happened, and then somebody picked me from there and put me in one NGO clinic, and then once I got conscious, that I come to know that okay, I'm in some place where like people are giving me a kind of love, like say, oh, it's okay, son, so everything will be fine. So the question is here, like, why some person get rescued? There is only one Kailash Satyarthi in this world. How many children is going to rescue? But why the government and all the people are not making this very mandatory that each and every child should not go to, work, and they should be in the school? Are they that poor? Are they don't have that? Even tell me one president or one prime minister in this world whose child goes to work and he can sleep quiet.
Absolutely. Kailash made the point earlier on today that 4.5 days of global military expenditure would fill the education gap and provide the big plug we need to stop this hemorrhaging of children away from school and into child labour. And we've got some questions coming through, two of which are really interrelated. One is, comes to the governments. Can concrete programmes to improve livelihoods for families help break the cycle of poverty and eradicate child labour? That comes from my Rose. And in a sense it comes to your call there, Basu. Do we need a new global march?
I think yes. I think we need another global march, but this time we need to not sensitize. Civilians. We have to sensitize the whole government system. So if there is something we need to shake them. Make them feel that, make them that empathy to generate. So that has to come, and we need to do again another march, Simon. And of course, to the Kailash Satyarthi, I call uncle anyway, because since childhood only I've been sitting on his lap, and then I sat on his shoulder and marching stop child labor, no more tools in tiny hand, we want books and we want toys. Yes, all the government need to hear this, and all the corporates, civil society is already a lot of doing, and all the civil societies. I think the question I have to raise here is are we honest enough for the children? Is that the childhood matters for you, for the country, for the government?
So what's your conclusion?
Right. So as you see, it's a totally the lack of the government will. Let me give you the example. Today, Simon, you just drive and then break the signal. Immediately, police officer will come and then you will get ticketed. Tell me if one child is working and then all the police people and every government will ignore it. So what does it means? It means this is totally 100%, 1000% lack of the political will, and all the political people need to come together to end it.
And I want you to tell us really your deepest feeling, your immediate, not just the intellectual, but this gut feeling you have about what we need to do about political will to break this logjam and get moving again.
Yeah. So, Simon, we should not stuck up to the deficits. Political will is one question. There is a moral deficit, there is a social deficit, so many things. Because child labor is not just a crime, but it's a social evil. It's a matter of mindset. So we have to change it, and we have to struggle hard for that. So that, having said that, let me also tell you that out of 10, 9 children do not work. Only 1. If the world has gone so far to withdraw 9 children from child labor or other kind of exploitation, and they are now in schools, why not 1? And I refuse to accept that world does not have that power. World does not have that money. World does not have those institutions and mechanisms and systems and knowledge, more importantly, which cannot eradicate child labor completely, abolish child labor completely. So we have that. But the thing is that we have to prioritize it. Today I said, and I am repeating it again, that three things are needed. That they are perceptional, then perhaps the real. One is that this issue is mine. This is personal issue. This issue is urgent. There could be so much explanation about it, but it is urgent. Why it is urgent? We have so many answers. Thirdly, that it is possible. When I talk to politicians, when I talk to other people, they said, oh, it's very complicated, it is not possible. They don't have faith in themselves. They don't have that kind of optimism that it is possible to get one child out of exploitation and child labor and bring to school out of 10.
With your permission, guys, we do have to wrap up, apparently. I just want to remind the audience watching on Facebook Live that this was a Facebook Live broadcast from the Palace of the Nations, the United Nations headquarters in Geneva, from the 107th International Labour Conference. My guests were Kailash Satyarthi, Nobel Peace Laureate for 2014, Zulema Lopez from the United States, Basu Rai from Kathmandu. We're marking the 20th anniversary of the Global March and World Day Against Child Labour. And just remember that we'll be back today at 5 p.m. Geneva time on Facebook Live to talk about 20 years after the adoption of the ILO's Declaration on Fundamental Principles and Rights at Work with my colleagues Kari Tapiola and Beata Andres. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your questions. I hope we did our best to answer. Kailash, Zulema, Basu, thank you so much.